There was once a man named Ethan who had everything he thought he needed to be happy. A good job, a decent apartment, and people who cared about him. But deep down, he was exhausted. Not from work, not from people, but from his own thoughts. Every night when the world went quiet, his mind got louder. He replayed every conversation, every decision, every mistake. He would lie awake thinking, did I say the wrong thing? What if I fail tomorrow? What if I'm not good enough? It was like his mind had become a storm that never stopped. Ethan was smart. He was talented. But he couldn't make decisions. He couldn't start new things. Every idea was followed by, what if it goes wrong? And every opportunity by, what if I'm not ready? He told himself he was being careful. But deep down, he knew. He was stuck. Not because of the world, but because of his thoughts. One day, his friend Luke, a firefighter, invited him on a weekend hiking trip. Ethan hesitated, as always, but eventually said yes. Halfway up the mountain, Luke said something that would change Ethan's life forever. He said, "You know what happens to people who freeze in a fire." Ethan looked at him confused. They die, not because the fire gets them first, but because they spend too long thinking about which way to run. That hit Ethan hard. He realized he'd been living like that, trapped, not by flames, but by indecision. He wasn't running, he wasn't escaping. He was just thinking about what could go wrong, while his chances burned away. When they reached the top of the mountain, Luke said something else. Thinking is a tool, not a home. You're supposed to use it, not live in it. That night, when Ethan got back home, he decided to make a change. He wrote one sentence on a piece of paper and taped it to his wall. I am not my thoughts. The next morning, his brain did what it always did. It started spinning stories. What if you mess up? What if you lose everything? What if they laugh? But this time, he looked at the wall and said out loud, those are just thoughts. They're not commands. For the first time, he realized something powerful. Overthinking doesn't predict the future. It only paralyzes the present. So he started experimenting. Whenever he caught himself overthinking, he would ask 3 questions. Number 1, is this thought helping me or hurting me? Number 2, is it a fact or just a fear? Number 3, will this still matter in a year? Most of the time, the answers were clear. His thoughts weren't helping. They were just noise. Over the next few months, Ethan began living differently. He stopped waiting for perfect conditions. When he had an idea, he acted before fear had time to argue. He applied for the job he thought he wasn't ready for. He called the person he'd been avoiding. He started saying yes to life instead of maybe later. And the amazing thing? The more he acted, the quieter his mind became. He discovered that action doesn't just create results. It silences doubt. Ethan began to understand a deep truth about overthinking. It's not the situation that causes the storm. It's our belief that we must control everything before we move. But life doesn't reward control. It rewards courage. He realized the mind's job is to keep us safe, not to keep us fulfilled. It warns us about risks, but it doesn't understand meaning. And if you let fear make your choices, you'll end up surviving, not living. So he replaced perfection with progress. He told himself, I don't need to have it all figured out, I just need to start. And step by step, he began to rebuild his peace. He also learned another secret. Silence isn't found by emptying the mind, but by mastering your attention. When he caught his thoughts spiraling, he'd go for a walk without his phone. He'd look around, the sky, the trees, the air, and remind himself that the world was still bigger than his worries. And slowly, he learned to trust himself again. Because that's what overthinking destroys the most. Not time, not energy, but self-trust. The belief that you can handle what comes next. Months later, Ethan met Luke again. They were sitting by the fire, watching the stars. Luke asked, so how's your brain these days? Ethan smiled and said, still noisy sometimes. But now I don't fight it. I just listen, thank it, and move on. Luke nodded and said, that's how you win. not by stopping thoughts, but by not becoming them. And that's the truth for all of us. You can't stop your mind from thinking, just like you can't stop the wind from blowing. But you can decide which thoughts deserve your attention and which ones you'll let pass. Overthinking will always whisper fears in your ear. What if it goes wrong? But if you listen closely, there's another voice too. A quieter one that says, what if it goes right? The key is to give that voice more power. You see, the cure to overthinking isn't thinking less, it's trusting more. Trusting that no matter what happens, you'll handle it, because you will. You've handled everything life has thrown at you so far, and you're still standing, stronger than you know. So stop waiting for clarity before you move. Move and clarity will find you. You don't need all the answers right now. You just need to start, one small step at a time. Because peace doesn't come from having a perfect plan. It comes from finally realizing you are not your thoughts. You are the one who chooses which ones to believe. And when you understand that, overthinking no longer controls you. You control it. And that's when life truly begins.